Let's look at slide 8. We are going to finish slide 8 right now, steps for graphing quadratic equations. So we have these steps. I'm also going to have you write a few steps in your journal so that you can know how to use the calculator to find these as well. So we have done example 1, so we're moving on to example 2. We have y equals x squared minus 2x minus 6. We need to find our axis of symmetry. So whenever we used our first, or when we did our first example, the axis of symmetry can be found by doing negative b over 2a. We can also use our calculator. So today we're taking notes on how to use our calculator to find parts of a quadratic function. So calculator steps for finding parts of a quadratic function. So let's look at the example they've given us. So this is example 2 on slide 8. So this is y equals x squared minus 2x minus 6. So to use our calculator, we are going to find the vertex first. This vertex is going to tell us a lot of different things about our function. So let me enlarge this. So our vertex is that point where it changes direction. So we are going to use our calculator. So get out your calculator and go to y equals, and let's put that function in. So it is x squared minus 2x minus 6. So we first need to know, how is this going to look? So is it going to be like this or like this? And the way we know that is by looking at what is in front of the x squared. If it's positive, it's going to go upward, and if it's negative, it's going to go downward. So in this case, it is going to go upward. And we can write because a equals 1. Remember our a, b, and c, ax squared plus bx plus c. So our a would be 1, our b would be negative 2, and our c would be negative 6. So in this, we know our vertex is going to be right here. So we've got to know, is that a minimum or is that a maximum value? So because it's in the valley, it is the lowest point, so we are going to have a minimum. So we are going to find the minimum using the calculator. So we'll go to graph, and let's look at it. Make sure we can see it. If we can't see it, then we would need to zoom out. So we know our vertex is right around there. Well, right there. There we go. So we can have our calculator actually calculate it. So we are going to do second trace. And because this is a minimum, it's going upward, we are going to go to number 3, which is minimum. So whenever you do that, so we have our function, it's going to ask the question left bound. So it's like that, I guess, something like that. So we want to find this. That's our vertex. So whenever they're asking for left bound, we need to look at where our vertex is, and we need to go to the left side of it. So anywhere to the left, this would be called your left bound. So I'm going to move my cursor so it's on the left. It doesn't matter how far or how close you get. I would move further away than closer. I wouldn't want to be right on top of it because that will make it where the calculator might get confused. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select left bound. Then it's going to ask for the right bound. I'm going to move my cursor to the right side of it. So this is called your right bound. So I'm going to move my cursor to the right side of the point I want to find. Push enter. And so what it does is it makes these boundaries. So it's saying from here to here, what is the minimum amount? And that's exactly what we don't want to find. So then it asks the question, guess, and you push enter. Enter. And then it gives you the minimum. It'll say min or max. And so we want to round to the nearest hundredth place. So if I were to round this 0.99999, that's actually 1 for the x value. And the y value is -7. So 1, -7. So that is our minimum value, which is also our vertex. So this is our vertex. It's the point where it's our minimum value. So let's go over to our slides. So we found the vertex first. We don't have to go in any particular order. So 1, -7. So let's graph it. Let's grab a point. Over 1, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's our vertex. The axis of symmetry is where the line goes through the vertex. So we don't have to use that formula. If we know our vertex, then our axis of symmetry is the x value of the vertex. So our vertex is 1, -7. So our x value is 1. So x equals 1. That is our axis of symmetry. Once you find your vertex, you know your axis of symmetry. So x equals 1. So let's grab our little line here, drag it over. Our axis of symmetry. Next thing is our y-intercept. Y-intercept is when x equals 0, what is the y value? So yesterday we looked at that. We said our y-intercept, it says look at the table when x equals 0, that is your y-intercept. So whenever we look, so this is our y-intercept. Look at table. When x is 0. Oh, sorry, couldn't see that. So we'll put that into y equals like we already have. Let's look at our table. 0, so that's -6. So 0, -6. 0, -6. So 0, -6 would be right here. With quadratics, we know that the axis of symmetry is the line that you can reflect each point across to make your quadratic parabola. So I know that my other point is going to be right across from this one. It's just going to be on the other side of the axis of symmetry. So I want to continue drawing this. So now I just need to look at my table of values to find the next point over. So I have these 3 points. So I want to find what this point is because I know it's going to go like this somehow, but I'm not sure how. So that would be when x is 1, 2, 3. So now I'll look at my table. When x is 3, the y value is -3. So that is when x is 3, the y value is -3. So I use the table values just to find another point. I could use any of these points, but because I want to find the next point over from this one and from this one, I just go 1 over. Now let's reflect that. This point is 2 units away from the axis of symmetry, so I go 2 units to the other side. Now I could actually get the next one if I want, because this is the third when x is 3. Let's go when x is 4. Here, when x is 4, y is 2. So I could go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's another point. I'm using this from the table. So now I go the opposite way. So this is 1, 2, 3 units away from the axis of symmetry. So now I go 1, 2, 3 to the other side. Now I need the U shape. They didn't give us an extra one, so I'm going to copy and paste this one and put it over the top of those points. So with quadratic functions, the domain left and right, this arrow tells me it's going to continue to go on and on to infinity, so I can put all real numbers. And then our range, how far down does it go? It actually goes down to, well, that's -7. It goes down to -7, and then it doesn't go down more, it goes up more. So that's why I would say y would be greater than or equal to -7. I need to make sure to do the or equal to by underlining. So this looks pretty similar. How many roots, solutions, or x-intercepts are there? So we're going to use our calculator to do that. Let's go ahead and do our min and our max. So we found what our vertex was, which also told us that it was the min. The min and max, min or max, this is just the y value of the vertex. So we would say the minimum in this case is when y equals -7. Let me zoom out. So I'm going to underline. I'll use the same underline. And I know that's a minimum. And the value is -7. We can put y equals -7, or we can just put -7. Next question, how many roots, solutions, or x-intercepts are there? So how many times does it cross the x-axis? It crosses it here, and it crosses it here. So there are 2 solutions. And we can also use the calculator to find these. I'm going to go ahead and have you find these. So we are going to use our calculator again for this. So I'm going to put on here zeros, roots, solutions, x-intercept. On the last one, we didn't have any because it didn't cross the x-axis. So on this one, we know it crosses twice. If you look at the graph, the one that we drew, or the one on our graph, we are going to use that calculate button again. So do second trace. I'm going to write it down here, second trace. So we're actually going to have to follow these steps twice because there are 2. So we have this again, something like that. So we want to find these 2 right here. So we have to do it 2 times. Perform this calculation twice. So we are going to do second trace. We are finding the 0. So 0, enter. And it does the same thing as when we found the minimal. It wants your left bound. So pick which one you want to do. I'm going to do this one first. So I'm going to do the left side of this. So my left bound will be on the left side of the solution. And then my right bound will be on the right side of the solution. So do that first. So go left. So I have to go to the left. So that means it's going to actually be above. So I'm going to push enter. And then my right would be to the right of it would be more over here. So I move my cursor over here. Push enter. Guess, push enter. So on this one, it's negative 1.645, and then it goes on. So we are going to round to the nearest hundredth. So this one is negative 1.650. So I found one of them. I didn't find both at the same time. I focused on that one. Now I'm going to do it again. So second, trace, 0. I need to arrow over, so I'm on the left side of the other one. So I know the other one's here. So I need to do the left side would actually be below, and the right side would actually be above. So we'll do this one second. So that's to the left of the 0 of the x-axis. Then go to the right. See how it makes boundaries? It tells you, okay, between here and here is my solution. So will you calculate it for me? It says guess, hit enter. And then it gives you 3.6. We're going to round to the nearest hundred, so that's 2 places, 3.650. So those are my 2 solutions. So I'm going to write those here. I'll write it. Oh, excuse me. X, well, I'll write the 2 points. Negative 1.650 and 3.650. I'll just extend this out. I want that so that it all fits on one line. So on each one of these, this slide 8 and slide 9, you're going to find what those solutions are by using your calculator. So your assignment is going to be slide 9. If you're in class, I have that printed out for you. If you're not in class, you will do it on here. Make sure you list out what those zeros are. Okay? And that is your assignment for today. See you later.